All right, this is the ultimate overview from day one of the Chiefs Mandatory Minicamp. We're going to look at footage I've found, go over notes from the media that attended, and then I'm going to do a summary of 4 players that spoke with the media yesterday, and I'm also going to talk about a tight end who is turning heads, as well as a receiver whose stock seems to be at an all-time high. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, aka Captain Redbeard, or the Red-Bearded Milk Dud, and I do daily news about the Chiefs and the NFL overall. So sub if you haven't yet, you little sinner. Hit that like button if you love coffee, and let's get into this news, starting with some footage that I have uncovered from the YouTube rabbit hole and want to take a look at with you all. Here's a clip of JuJu with a nice little catch, as well as his buddy Cornell Powell doing something very similar. Andy Reid is standing there like, man, I really need a cheeseburger right now. You can see Mecole Hardman is out there looking healthy from the hamstring tweak that he had recently. And then this play here from Mahomes is pretty sweet, where he hands one ball off quickly to CEH, then turns around to snag another ball from Matt Nagy and flick it effortlessly to Michael Burton. And I'm going to show it a couple times because it happens pretty fast, but this was a fun little play to watch. Isaiah Pacheco is out there catching punts and confirms my suspicion that he's probably going to make this roster and indeed be one of the considerations for a punt and kick returner because of his blazing fast speed. And then look at this clip of him hitting this weird little red guy. Pacheco is a violent man on the football field, and I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him thus far. Jalen Watson looking nice out there as well, getting some movement in. And then you have this nice little toss from Mahomes where it looks to me like a bit of a no-look pass, but it's hard to really tell. But if you posit this frame right here as he's about to throw, it looks to me like he is side-eyeing more to his left, but his body language is saying he's going more to the right with the ball. And upon watching it a couple times, that's at least what it looks like to me in my basement sitting non-professional self. But anyway, we can't forget about Chris Jones out here dancing, but this dum-dum is sadly in the way. So unfortunately, we can't fully see his great moves. I do apologize about that one. And upon looking at some of the photos, I also see Josh Gordon getting some catches in. More on Gordon in a bit, as well as Corey Coleman, 2 former first-round picks out there in action. And then here's some additional notes that I'm going to summarize quickly for you all from Arrowhead Pride's Pete Sweeney, who was in attendance for yesterday's practice after I chug a little more cold brew. That's excellent. All right, so Pete confirms that Mecole Hardman and Skyy Moore are moving well, and their hamstrings don't seem to be much of an issue, though they are both wearing compression sleeves. Mecole had a bit of a slow start, dropping a few passes to start out teamwork and was visibly frustrated. He threw his helmet over the mountains. He didn't throw his helmet, I just lied. But it's probably a bit of rust from him being out for a few weeks. Hardman said this about that. Not being out there for a minute, you kind of want to be perfect when you go back out there. And it's one of those things where you're frustrated with yourself and I can be better. Definitely can be better, but I actually bounced back and caught everything else. Sweeney notes that MVS high pointed a nice pass from Mahomes down the left sideline on a 1v1 ball versus Trent McDuffie. Then Mahomes had a couple of nice floaters. He's lacking fiber to MVS and also Kelsey shortly after. And Sweeney says his way too early picks for 2022 NFL season yard leaders for the Chiefs are Kelsey and then MVS. Mahomes found CEH on a wheel route that was beautifully lofted over the head of defensive end Joshua Kando during an early team blitz period, which is something I hope we see a lot more of, honestly. And then Sweeney makes note of a tight end who seems to be turning some heads, and that is Jordan Franks. Pete says a touchdown from Chad Henne down the seam, a toe drag swag from Henne down the sideline, and another catch by fighting off a defender. 2018 undrafted free agent is officially on the radar. So that's definitely interesting and worth noting. Put that in your little notepad. Sweeney goes on to say he saw Willie Gay bat down a Mahomes pass during the blitz period. Karlaftis had a play where he could have easily tagged Mahomes and rightly pulled off. We'll touch more on that later, but George himself said he will never come close to hitting Mahomes in practice, ever, and rightly so. Sweeney notes that Chris Jones looked good and in shape, which is always good to hear about the best guy on our defensive line, and it looks like the play of the day was a no-look pass by Mahomes to a wide-open Josh Gordon. Apparently, Willie Gay took the bait And JuJu was on the sideline looking flabbergasted after it happened, and he talks about that more later in his presser. But man, that is another example of Josh Gordon showing chemistry with Mahomes, and this time on a no-look pass. So we've been talking a lot about Josh Gordon recently. Some of you say he's old, he's washed, but dude, he's had a full offseason, and the media keeps talking about him. Mahomes is talking about him. Mecole Hardman was talking about him during his presser, saying he's slimmed down, knows the playbook, and is looking back to form for sure. Is it 2013 form? Because that's what I really want to know. Gordon is playing now without thinking, which is a big thing. And then he said, we can definitely use him this year. And so that's coming from someone who's been training alongside this guy for months. Worth noting. I say that term a lot, but seriously, write it down. Do it. So yeah, so far, reports are at an all-time high on Josh Gordon. His stock keeps going up and up this offseason, which I guess begs the question, is it all hype or is it the real freaking deal? I guess time will tell, but I must know this answer. From there, Pete Sweeney notes some other offensive standouts who were wide receiver Omar Bayless, Corey Coleman, and JuJu Smith-Schuster. And I'm glad we're hearing that about JuJu because I feel like he's been a bit quiet, at least as far as the media is concerned. So good news. And sticking to wide receivers, Sweeney says that the Chiefs hosted 2 tryout receivers. The first one is, I think it's Damon Hazelton, but my teleprompter changed his first name to Dam, and I don't think that's his first name. And the second one is Aaron Parker from Rhode Island, and of the 2, Parker looked a little better, at least in Sweeney's eyes. So let's talk about players who were not in attendance and injuries for a moment before I move on to these pressers. 2 cornerbacks left practice early with trainers, and that is Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams. So that's not good. I hope it's just something minor, especially for our first round pick that has also been quiet, and we moved up to get Trent McDuffie. We need that man out there. Lucas Niang was seen out there, but not participating in on-field activities. And as far as those not in attendance, those players were Frank Clark, who was excused yesterday. No reasons were given, but I do not give a crap. He needs to be there. Orlando Brown Jr. also wasn't there, which makes complete sense. But then wide receiver Justin Ross was also not there. Hopefully that's not an injury thing. They didn't actually say why he wasn't there, but that's a bit weird to me, and he needs to be there. So hopefully everything is good with Justin Ross. Darrell Williams also wasn't there, but that's because he got cut yesterday to make room for the newly signed Jerick McKinnon, who also was not in attendance yesterday, by the way. Maybe he's clearing physicals and all that from the Chiefs medical team. I have no freaking idea, to be honest, but he was not in attendance. And the last few who also were not there, Rashad Fenton, shoulder rehab, I think is why, probably. And then Malik Herring and Blake Bell. Not sure why those 2 would miss, but y'all need to get there. And I'll definitely let you know if any of those other players show up today for day 2. Have no fear. And now I want to spend some time digging into the pressers from yesterday. Only the very tail end of Mecole Hardman's presser is available online from what I could find. Jeez, need to lay off the cigarettes. Only the very tail end of Mecole's presser is available online from what I could find. So I only got 2 of his questions. One was on Josh Gordon, which I mentioned above, and the other is about this being a contract year for Mecole. He was directly asked about the fact that this is a contract year and how this sits on his mind as he's gearing up for an important season, one that'll basically make or break him financially, as this year's performance will weigh heavily on his ability to snag a long-term lucrative deal or not from KC or some other team this year. Well, basically, he said he's trying not to focus on that too much directly, but is taking things simply one day at a time.
I think those things right there just come over time. I feel like if you think about that too early, I think it usually don't pan out for you as well. So I think it's just, it's in the back of your head, to try to perform well and get that contract. But overall, you just want to take it one day at a time and just be the best player you can.
JuJu stepped up next and said he's enjoying KC. Hopefully he's had some barbecue, getting acclimated, and is all moved in and ready to freaking go. For the past couple of months, JuJu has been working with Mahomes and company, getting reps in, all that good stuff, and JuJu feels he's getting into rhythm now as he continues to learn the playbook. He complimented the receiving core, basically saying they are all doing their part. He said the ball is spread all around. They've been playing multiple positions as far as receiving positions go, and he said,
everyone knows what everyone's doing, and I think like that right there helps us out a lot going into the season. I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, we're going to have to show y'all this year going into the season.
Yes, please, JuJu, show us this year because we are here for it 100%. JuJu then talked about Mahomes and his no-look passes because he did one today. Mahomes did that, completely faked several people out that we talked about earlier, the pass to Josh Gordon, and JuJu was flabbergasted.
Bro, I don't know. Today he did the no-look pass, and I was just like, he got me, and I was on the sideline. I thought I was the only one who saw it, but it got, I think it got our linebacker Jay, and it threw him off, and then everyone was just like this, thinking he's going outside, but he went inside, and I was just like, wow.
Smith-Schuster hasn't seen a no-look pass from Mahomes personally yet this minicamp, but he described the time he got one from Pat in the Pro Bowl a few years ago, and he dropped that pass because he was not ready for the ball to come his way. But now he's staying ready for the time when it does come his way. And he then was asked about the difference between playing with Big Ben and playing with Patrick Mahomes so far, and he was honestly very polite in his answer.
There's really not much, Ben, he threw the ball. He could do pretty much all the stuff.
Look at JuJu being all nice and professional in his little answer, but what he really meant to say is Big Ben was an absolute statue in the pocket who was faithfully throwing ducks out there on the football field, which is a big difference when it comes to Mahomes and his ability to actually move his feet, which are not stuck in cement in the pocket.
I just feel like Pat, when it gets to the scrambling part, that's where it's like, okay, like he can throw the ball across the field. He could do this, he could do that. We're always taught to just stay on the move. We have a period where we practice it, and that's how you know it's taken very seriously.
So that's cool to hear. They have a period where they practice freelancing and running around as Mahomes scrambles out of the pocket, which is good because Mahomes really enjoys doing just that. JuJu shifted his thoughts to Andy Reid and how much he enjoys how involved Coach Reid is in the offense, which was pretty different than his time in Pittsburgh because Mike Tomlin was more of a defensive-minded coach. JuJu shared how he's been learning from MVS as a teammate and a player and are bringing forth the little things they've learned from their former teams together to make one superpower receiving core. I just made that part up. But he's excited to show everyone what they've got at training camp, and we are excited as well. Karlaftis was the next man up and touched on the pre-draft Zoom call he had with the Chiefs. It was a pretty long one, he said, with a lot of the coaches, Spags, Joe Cullen, and more, where they took a look at game film, tested his football knowledge, and
just went great. I feel like we had a great connection.
Well, I'm glad your Zoom call had a great connection. He must have had some good Wi-Fi or something. He mentioned that during the pre-draft process, he lost 10 to 15 pounds, worked a lot on his speed, strength, and mobility in order to prepare himself to become a professional. After Karlaftis got drafted, he said Chris Jones reached out to him pretty quickly and they stayed in touch. But this is the first time he's actually got to work alongside him, and one reporter asked George about the comment Coach Reid made at a presser a few weeks back, and that comment was about George's motor, how he never stops, and they had to tell him to tone it down a tad.
It wasn't directly towards me. It was through Coach Cullen just saying, hey, you got to tone it down. Just work on your skills, work on your craft, and maybe not go full into the lineman. Go according to the tempo, basically, but you could always work on things like your get off and your fundamentals.
So yeah, basically Joe Cullen has to tell him daily at practice and quite possibly on almost every single play. Just remind him, these guys are not your enemies. So please do not take their heads off, and whatever you do, son, do not touch Patrick Mahomes if you know what's good for you.
I'll never come close in practice to Patrick Mahomes. I'll never come close to him.
Well, good boy, George. I'm glad you are listening, even though he says after he takes a couple steps and then lays off the gas at these practices.
It'll be exciting to get to actually go.
It'll be exciting to actually go, a.k.a. lay people out cold on the football field, and guess what? I can't freaking wait for that, George. He said he pretty much has the playbook down already, and playing against this elite offense is only going to make him and the entire defense better. And he's ready to come to training camp with pads on and actually hit people. So he's going to have to calm it down, but I am excited for Karlaftis, not going to lie. From there, the one and only, you like that? Juan Thornhill was last to the podium, and he started off speaking highly of the rookies this year, considering how hard the defense is to learn in Spag's system and all that good stuff. But he said they are definitely studying the playbook because he's not seeing a lot of mistakes out there, which is a great thing to see. He briefly reflected on his time as a rookie on the team, and now times have changed. He's one of the leaders now by experience, and honestly, he gave a ton of credit to Tyrann Mathieu for that.
I mean, I took a lot from him because I mean, he was that guy that got everyone into place. I was really quiet when he was here because I knew that he was the type of guy that was like just the leader, and I just follow his footsteps. And now it's my time to take on that role and to get everyone lined up. So I think he did a good job with helping me get to this spot in my 4th year to become that leader.
He did say he will miss Tyron, but is really enjoying his time getting to know Justin Reed. He has a lot of respect for him, complimented his athleticism, physicality, and then made it clear that Justin is his own person. He's not out here trying to fill Tyron's shoes, but has his own cleats on, if you will, and is here to be the best that he himself can be. Thornhill is having a blast this offseason and feels the pressure has been lifted since he's going into the season knowing that he's going to be a starter. He, like Mecole Hardman, is on the last year of his rookie deal, so next year is a contract year, and he has very high expectations for himself.
I'm planning on playing like my best football by far, playing the top of my game, and I'm expecting an all-pro season, and I'm saying that right now.
An all-pro season? Well, Juan Thornhill, let's freaking go book it. He said he's feeling incredible and his knee is no longer bothering him at all.
I'm all the way back. I mean, if you out there watching me play, I'm flying around right now. I'm not thinking about the knee at all. Like I said before, I'm going to have an all-pro season. I'm putting it out there. And if y'all want to take that down, record it. It doesn't matter because, like, I'm committed to doing that.
And I really like Juan Thornhill's confidence here. You can tell that even though he plays a game, football, for a living, that he's not playing any games this year and wants all the freaking smoke. And I like that. He's in a great state of mind and said the COVID restrictions being lifted has really helped with the rapport of the team as they can hang out again and build those friendships off the field, which then in turn only helps them in their camaraderie on the field. He's feeling like the secondary is already in tune with each other and has a message for other teams that they play against this upcoming season.
Oh yeah, we want to put our foot on each and every opponent. Like every single time somebody step in Arrowhead or we go there, they're gonna know like if they come across the ball that they're gonna get hit by someone and they're gonna feel it. So we want everybody to feel us this season for sure.
Oh yeah, we want to put our foot on each and every opponent. Well yeah, when you have players out there like Justin Reed and Brian Cook spearing people like Goldberg at WrestleMania, that's a fair assessment for sure. All right guys, what are your thoughts so far on day 1 of Mandatory Minicamp? Anything stand out to you from Pete Sweeney's notes, the footage and photos we looked at, or maybe from one of these pressers? And the last question is, what are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments down below and let's dialogue about it. From here, I want to give a few quick shout outs to Christopher Steele, Old Navy, and Eric Wahlberg for their super thanks messages. Chris sent over a $5 super thanks simply saying, thanks. And he's never left a comment before on this channel, so dude, I appreciate that a ton. Thank you. Old Navy sent over $5 as well in a super thanks saying, thanks for covering all things Chiefs. So excited for this season to get started. You are still the best wise bearded wonder. Well, let's freaking go. I cannot wait for this upcoming season 100%. And Eric Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg's cousin, you know that guy, he super thanks over $10 and says, this just in. On Tyreek's podcast, he claimed that Tua is a better scrambler than Mahomes, he's got more leg than Tommy Townsend, has better hands than Kelsey, is a smarter coach than Andy Reid, and makes better barbecue than all of Missouri. Don't get salty, Cole. It needed to be said. Well, the barbecue comment is very offensive. It's definitely the worst one, but of course, it needed to be said, so whatever. We get it, Tyreek. Well, thanks, Eric. You're the freaking man. I appreciate that a ton. And the last thing I want to tell you all is my wife took what I said literally in my video yesterday and went and got me set up with a P.O. box. So we've got it. Several of you have asked, and my wife delivered faster than a Pizza Hut pizza. Well, maybe not that fast, but the address is on the screen and in the description down below. If you have some burning desire to send me something in the mail, Chiefs gear or otherwise. All right, make sure to leave a comment down below to potentially be featured in an upcoming vid. Sub for more daily news like this, and check out this video here, which is from Alex Rollins about why the NFL failed the Patrick Mahomes draft evaluation. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those